Welcome in, everyone. I'm your host, Eric, with Clueless Sports Dad podcast. And I'm here with Coach Dan Meyer from Trench Mafia, a man I had the privilege to coach with in Florida. But first, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a comment down below. Head over to our X profiles and follow us there as well. Today, we welcome you into our edition of the 2026 mock NFL draft. Welcome in, Dan.
I appreciate it, Eric. Looking forward to this.
Yeah, so here we go. Let's get it. All right, so not much to say except for Raiders are on the clock here. One thing I did want to talk to you about, though, before we start heading into this, is the lack of the quarterback position. And we know right now all the talk is about next year's draft versus this year's draft, where Mendoza might end up, and so forth and so on. And I just want to point out a few in my notes here. I got some quarterback moves, but most of them I don't think are even going to be day one starters. And just get your feel for some of these guys before we jump into this. You got Justin Fields to the Chiefs. You got Kirk Cousins to my Raiders. Kyler Murray is now with the Vikings. Tua's over with the Falcons. Geno Smith is back with the Jets. He's basically there to do what he did with the Raiders and help them secure that number one pick next year.
Yeah, that's right.
Gardner Minshew with the Cardinals, but we all know he's probably not going to start. But then you got Malik Willis to the Dolphins, who I'm not sure. He did get paid, and I'd like to see what is in store with Ewers, if that's going to be a true battle or no. So out of all these, and I know there's some other guys too, but they're mostly signings for backup roles and so forth and so on. Out of all of those, who do you think was the best fit, and who do you think really is going to excel with their new team, if any of them actually do?
I mean, I think the best fit, you and I have talked about it, is Kirk Cousins going to the Raiders. This is an organization where he has familiarity with the system, and they're bringing in a rookie, supposedly, at number one, who very well could be ready to go day one. But if he's not, you feel okay about what your quarterback room looks like. And I think he's the type of person where if Mendoza wins that job, he's going to be a good mentor for him. He's a guy who's been around, been through a lot of situations. He's the guy who was the afterthought when he was drafted because they took RG3. And he knows how to go about his business, how to do the work. But I think the one that's going to make the biggest impact, probably Kyler Murray. You look at what Minnesota has for skill players, and that helps a lot when you can just throw the ball up to Jay Jettas. I think Malik Willis probably has the best chance to stick long-term as a starter. But for 1 year, I'm giving it to Kyler Murray.
Yeah, and I would have to agree there. I mean, as I'm looking at this list, Justin Fields ain't seeing the field, so to speak, unless
he might end up being a tight end for them.
Yeah, we talked about that the other day. So,
yeah.
Or, I think if I remember correctly, Minshew had some trick plays where him and Mahomes were on the field. So who knows what Andy Reid will draw up with, with a dude like Justin Fields out there.
Put him in the backfield, 2 quarterback sets.
Yeah.
I mean, you could hand him the ball and he could run it. You want a 6'3", 230-pound running back occasionally? Go beat Taysom Hill.
But out of all of these guys, I mean, you look at Tua to the Falcons. Can he beat out Penix?
No.
Geno, we know there. Like I said, he's just there. He's there until Arch Manning gets there.
Right.
I mean, they set themselves up with all those draft picks to do it. And yeah, Kirk Cousins, he's going to be probably most of these guys look one and done. And the two that really stand out to me is, like you said, Kyler Murray and Willis. I mean,
yeah,
depending on how the Dolphins play that situation is going to determine how they going to build around him. Like if they do a good job and they build around him and give him good structure and stuff like that, and they stick with it, he could be the long-term answer there.
And I think that's going to factor into what we're doing with the Dolphins tonight and what they end up doing Thursday, Friday. Are they going to add weapons? Are they going to add pieces to a suspect defense? If you want to give him a true chance, you got to get weapons in there for him.
Yeah, so for sure.
I think the way that they draft is going to kind of dictate already how they're feeling about what he can be long term, because you can't put him out there with what they have now and say you gave him a fair chance.
Yeah, absolutely. So now moving on, there was some breaking news that we had today, and we're a few hours behind that. And depending on when this gets posted, whether it's tonight or tomorrow, the Giants made the big trade. They traded away Dexter Lawrence to the Cincinnati Bengals for that 10th spot, as you can see on our new updated mock draft board or draft simulator here, sponsored by PFF. So with that being said, I mean, if I've got the defensive moves that they added, the Bengals did, and it jumps out big time to me because we were talking about what they were going to do on defense the other night. And so they added Dexter Lawrence next to Jonathan Allen, who they also acquired. They brought in, and I can never pronounce this guy's name, but I wanted him.
Mafe.
Yeah, there you go. From Seattle. I wanted him on the Raiders. I thought him opposite of Max Crosby would have been pretty cool. And then they got the safety, Brian Cook.
From Kansas City.
Yeah, so they brought in some really good, talented players for that side of the ball. And so now
you put Dexter Lawrence with Jonathan Allen and Boye Mafe, and they already had Miles Murphy. Like, that all of a sudden becomes a pretty good unit. And that's kind of the foundation of what their DC Al Golden wants to do. He wants to be able to get after the quarterback with the front four and play behind that. So it's a huge move. You weren't going to get a player of that caliber, and it's a great move for the Giants. He was unhappy there. Now they have 2 top 10 picks. It gives them a little flexibility with what they're going to do. Obviously, you hate to lose a caliber of that caliber of player, but if he's going to be a problem, get him out. Harbaugh's resetting the culture. I love it for both teams.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So with that being said, you ready to jump into this?
Yeah, you got odds, I got evens. Let it rock.
Yeah, let's do this. All right. And with the first pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Carson Beck. No, I'm kidding. Fernando Mendoza, Heisman Trophy winner. So for me, there's really no question there on why they're getting him. You know, a lot of reminders of Tom Brady-esque type situation. They're going to put him in a situation now with the Kirk Cousins signing of letting him sit and learn unless he's better, which could very well happen. We don't know. We don't even know how healthy Kirk Cousins truly is as far as football goes. Because, I mean, he's at the OTAs doing stuff like that, being around the team right now. But, you know, Fernando Mendoza's coming off of a great year and as well at the college level and with no injuries. So who knows if Kirk Cousins is going to be healthy enough? Was it his Achilles or was it his ACL? I can't remember on this one.
I don't recall.
Yeah, I know he had that bad Achilles. Yeah, I can't remember either. And then I know he was benched later on in the season by the Falcons. So he's had a rough go with the Falcons altogether. But,
yeah,
I mean, everybody pretty much did with that team. Yeah, so I'm excited about it. I will say this, and I wanted to say this the other night when we talked about it. What really pisses me off about this draft the most is that there are so many defensive ballers, especially from Ohio State, and such good, solid offensive linemen that go figures the Raiders don't have a franchise quarterback on deck and they got the first overall pick. like the one time they don't have like a third, fourth, fifth pick in the draft, and there's all these ballers on defense that they could have got to help. But I'm really happy we went out and we signed some real good studs on defensive side of the ball to help with Max Crosby get after the quarterback and play some really solid defense. I mean, you look at the signings we got: Tyler Lindenbaum at center. We got Kwity Paye. Not sure how that's going to pan out. Is he going to play inside in the 3-4, play outside? Not too sure about that because they re-signed Kuntz as well. And then they got the two dogs from Georgia. They got Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean at the linebacker positions, and both guys are young. So they not only signed guys, and they got Jalen Naylor, the wide receiver from Vikings, which he was kind of phased. Not, I don't want to say he was phased out, but he was lower on the depth chart than most people would have because of the fact that he had the guys ahead of him. But he have Addison and Justin Jefferson ahead of him on the depth chart, obviously. So we don't know how that one's going to pan out. But the Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean signings, and they signed within like 5 minutes of each other. It was pretty crazy how that whole thing went down. They were like calling each other.
The Raiders had money to spend, and they went out and they signed young players who have a lot of upside still, so that they can build this and sustain it. They weren't 1 year rentals to just patchwork it. Like they're truly fixing.
Yeah, so if the Raiders had a franchise quarterback, I mean, you got a guy like Carnell Tate, who we're both not too high on, but you know, Caleb Downs would have been amazing to have behind Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker. So, but with that said, all right, pick number 2 to the Jets, to you.
Yeah, New York Jets. This is going to come down to production versus potential. It's going to be one of the edges. It's going to be David Bailey or it's going to be Arvell Reese. For me, I question whether Arvell Reese is going to be capable of being what people expect him to be as an edge player. Everyone's talking Micah Parsons, and that's a big expectation. You're talking about a guy who's 241 pounds, had a 72.3 pass rush grade. He was an off-the-ball linebacker, but his coverage grade wasn't good either. So you're betting on what he could be. For me, and with this pick, I'm taking the production. The guy who led the country in sacks, who still ran 4.50, who was good against the run, an elite pass rusher. With the second pick, the New York Jets take David Bailey, edge out of Texas Tech.
And that's a great pick. I think that pick by the Jets is really going to actually set the tone for the rest of the draft and where guys potentially fall. Because now you're looking at a guy like Reese who's like, wow. I mean, I'm at 3 to the Cardinals. You know, we've got somewhat of a quarterback situation going on, but we could technically wait till next year to get our quarterback of the future. If they choose that route, offensive line, they're going to really need that as well.
The thing for the Cardinals versus the Jets is the Jets know that they need to show improvement or they're getting fired. So you can't risk taking Reese and giving him time to develop, whereas the Cardinals just bring in their new coach, Mike LaFleur. You have Josh Sweat on one edge. So you're set on one side, but you need someone on the other. And you're also playing in a division with Matthew Stafford and Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold, where getting after the quarterback is going to be a big deal. Whereas the Jets, okay, you have New England, you know, you're worried about Drake May, but the Dolphins aren't anything. And Josh Allen's bigger than Arvell Reese. So it would be a fun Oklahoma drill, but I don't think that's what's going to win the North.
No, but and we talked about those other teams, and for me, the key is protection. Like whether you're protecting your quarterback this year or the one for the future, start lining that up right now.
And let's be honest, the Cardinals are in a trade down spot. We're not.
100%.
But this is a team that's probably trading down. So when you're making this pick, it's happening at 3, but in all likelihood, maybe it's at 6, 8, 10, 12.
Yeah, exactly. And to go on top of that too, I mean, the Cardinals have a pick. They got, I can't remember the second round pick they got, but it's up there too. So because the Raiders have 36, and I think the Cardinals pick before them even. So there'll be some offensive linemen that actually fall to them. And my heart says going with Francis from Miami, but I just don't think you could pass up on Reese. So with the third pick, Cardinals are taking Arvell Reese, Ohio State.
And this is predictive too. We're not doing what we would do.
No,
This is
100%.
what they're going to do. So that's part of it.
Absolutely.
Pick 4, you taking Arvell Reese makes this really easy. You're looking at a team who's got their quarterback, I think, in Cam Ward. They're moving into a new stadium in Nashville. They have 29-year-old Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears at running back. But if they cut Tony Pollard loose, I think their dead cap's only $2 million. They can save $7.5 million. Or you play it out and he's gone next year because he's in the last year of his contract. So to me, this is easy. The Titans are going to take the guy who I think is the best player in this draft. He's a dynamic runner who plays hard all the time. He runs through tackles. He's a really good receiver. He's a much, much improved pass blocker. So a team that doesn't have great wide receiver weapons, now you have an option out of the backfield. With the 4th pick, the Tennessee Titans select Jeremiah Love, running back, Notre Dame.
And the reason I'm smiling about this is because you said he's the best player in the draft. But as a Miami Hurricanes fan and you being a Notre Dame fan, we remember that game. I don't think he did too well that game, did he?
And that concludes the show.
Oh, man. I love it. I love Notre Dame, too. That's so funny. All right. So now we're on to the Giants at the 5th pick. All right. And I'm going to stick to what I was talking about yesterday or the other day when we did this. And that's the fact that the Giants now, surprisingly, have not surprisingly, but have 2 first-round picks, and they're within 5 picks of each other. So they have some options here. Do you get that? Do you get an offensive lineman? Do you get a wide receiver? Do you get the linebacker, the safety? Where are you really going here with this? Because there's a lot could be said, and like we talked about the other day, they got a linebacker in free agency. What was his name again? The one from Edmonds, right? From the Bears, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, from the Bears. So with the 5th pick in the NFL draft, the Giants are going to actually take Caleb Downs from Ohio State. And I think that really gives them somebody in the back end to really set up for the future for what John Harbaugh wants to do back there on defense.
I like it. So pick 6 with the Browns. Now, I have to say, this played out perfect where I think the Cowboys want nothing more in the world than to have Sonny Styles. And I think they call the Browns and they go, we'll give you 12 and 20 to move up to 6. And Sonny Styles is a Cowboy, but we're not doing trades.
Yeah.
But I do think that's what happens, and I think the Browns have 3 first-round picks, which means they probably hit on one of them. But shoot. Let's see here.
You said you think they hit on one of them out of the 3? That reminds me of the Raiders, the year they had 3 first-round picks. after trading Mack and Cooper away.
Well, I think for the Browns, even with Sonny Styles on the board, this comes down to receiver versus tackle. And you and I both talked about Carnell Tate, in all likelihood, the number one receiver in this class. I don't know how I feel about him coming in being my franchise receiver because he hasn't been the number one at Ohio State. Marvin Harrison, Jermaine Smith, and I know that those are two exceptional players, and he can't help that. But at the same time, like, those guys are taking the double coverage. They're the ones getting game plan for it. I think that gives Carnell a little more freedom, a little more space to go make plays. Because when big moments happen, they're looking for Jeremiah Smith. And in the NFL, if he's the number one, now he's getting that pressure. He's getting that rolled coverage. He's getting the number one corner. And I don't know if he can do that. So while I'm sure he's going to be a good pro and he's not going to be on the board very long, I'm not going to go receiver because I don't think he's separated from the other receivers in this class. So I'm perfectly fine taking one later. So I'm going to take a tackle. You have Spencer Fano, Monroe Freeling, but the name that I keep hearing with the Browns is the mountain of the man from Alabama, 6'7", 352, Caden Proctor. So that's the pick. Caden Proctor, left tackle, Alabama, is heading to Ohio.
That's a good one. I like it. Like it a lot. Got to protect your whoever is going to be playing quarterback.
That's right. Now, what a situation for the Commanders here, having Sonny Styles still on the board.
Yeah, and I like it. I mean, it kind of fell right into my lap here at the pick number 7, and so there's not much really for me to say except for let's just go ahead and make the pick. So with the 7th pick in the NFL draft, the Commanders select Carnell Tate. I had to switch it up a little bit. Well, you took the running back earlier that I had picked for them in Love going there. And I think giving another weapon to Jaden Daniels there is going to really be key. And there's a lot of talk coming out of there about what he's going to do in this new offense, going under a little bit more under center. Don't know how much that's going to really actually happen. Could be just smoke. It's early in the year. I mean, we're not even technically into the year because we're still worried about the draft. But I think this gives him, a decent weapon for that, in the first round to go out there and play ball with. So I think it'd be fun to watch them play together. So, but I do think that they will go for a weapon here. And since the running back's off the board, I would pick a wide receiver.
I like it.
So
that's fun. So the Saints on the clock. I was going to go probably with Tate here because I think the player he most reminds me of is Olave. And you have Tyler Shuck at quarterback, but their receiver room is just awful. So you can still go that route. I have Sonny Styles staring me in the face here. They just signed Caden Ellis to play one of their inside spots. But I don't think you can pass up that talent. I mean, the Saints are a full rebuild. You can also look, I think Bain makes a lot of sense here with an aging defensive lines. But let's give them Sonny Styles, linebacker, Ohio State, to run that defense for the next 2 contracts.
Yeah, that's a really good pick. I like that one too. That's really good. 2 Ohio State guys back to back. There we go. And 3 in the last 4 picks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I forgot about the one up above too. So they're all within the top 10 there, top 8. So now, of course, a Raider fan would have to get the Chiefs at pick 9. At pick 9 here. And a lot of mock drafts I've seen have Ruben Bain going there. That defensive line is going to be getting a lot older, and the wide receiver core. It seems like no matter if they win the Super Bowl with the wide receivers they got, if they don't win the Super Bowl but they make it deep into the playoffs or what have you, it seems like they always need wide receivers, but they always get wide receivers. But what they don't got and what they ended up getting rid of were their 2 starting corners. And we talked about this the other day too. So this pick is easy for me. I'm going Mansour at LSU to the Chiefs.
What makes this really easy for me? Someone that talked about at 5. Now he's available at 10. So the New York Giants are selecting Francis Maui-Noa, tackle, Miami. They re-signs Illuminor, but this takes their offensive line to another level, getting a guy who's really young, actually. I don't even think CC is 21 yet. He's built the right way. There's questions of, is he a guard? Is he a tackle? I think he's capable of being a tackle. He's an exceptional pass blocker who's got really good play strength. So his run game is still needing to be more consistent. But I think this is a guy who can be that right tackle for the Giants for a long time and hopefully help Scattaboo and Tracy and Singletary and all those guys get to the second level without so much first level contact.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I mean, he played almost 1,300 snaps at right tackle compared to almost 1,300 snaps. I'm sorry, 20, almost 2. Yeah, basically over 2,000.
Yeah.
Almost 3,000. Jeez, my math is all off today. Almost 3,000 snaps at right tackle versus 10.
He walked into Miami and he was the starting right tackle day 1.
Yeah, so I mean, you look at his pass blocking grades and stuff like that. So I completely agree there. And you're right, he's young. Yeah, he's not even 21. He'll be 21 soon, a couple months. It's a great pick for the Giants. My wife will love that as she's a Giants fan, so she's already liking this draft.
Yeah.
2 playoff guys from the college football playoff rankings. There you go. Now the Dolphins are intriguing team to me because of the fact of, like the Raiders, they've had a lot of turnover, but unlike the Raiders, they've traded or gotten rid of a ton of people. So, they got rid of Waddle. Hill's not there. Wide receiver is a huge need. Right there where it says needs, it needs to say 3 wide receivers.
Yeah.
Instead of wide receiver guard.
Would have been easier to put everything except running back.
So do you think Miami here attempts to take a guy that's basically homegrown and gets a Ruben Bain?
I mean,
it says this is our dude. Like,
when you're looking at this new front office, they came in from Green Bay. Head coach Jeff Hafley, defensive coordinator. Green Bay doesn't take receivers early. You have a defensive guy going, okay, like, we need to rebuild our entire organization. Where do you do that? To me, that is always going to start in the trenches. So if they would take someone like a Bain, now you're kind of setting the tone, because we know that whatever deficiencies Bain has with arm length and speed and all that. We know he's a big effort guy. He's a big power guy. He's someone who's going to set the tone and set the culture. And with a defensive head coach, I think that fits what he's going to want to do. But it's your pick.
I'm going to pick Bain here, but what I love about this pick too, and I think they do pick it. If he falls to them, I think they do pick him. So I'm taking him here. But what's great about this pick is now we get to watch two dinosaurs go at it twice a year between him and the tackle from New England.
Him and Will Campbell.
Yeah. So same division, baby. I know. Same division, baby. Let's go.
Well, I think this board went about as bad as it could have for the Cowboys. You know, I like a lot of the moves that they've made. They get Rashawn Gary coming in. They signed Jalen Thompson from Arizona, Kobe Durant to play corner from the Rams on a short deal. So when you're looking at this team, like upgrades that they could make, I think defensively they would love one of the edges. I think Bailey Reese are pipe dreams. You're looking at Sonny Styles, like we talked about. I think they're a team that's probably going to move up on Thursday to try to get their guy. Delane makes a lot of sense because you have Kobe Durant on a 1-year deal. The only other corner I'm considering at this point is Jermod McCoy, who didn't even play in 2025. So do you risk it for the biscuit and take the upside of someone who might be the best corner in this class but hasn't played? Or do you play it safer and just take the best available edge, which I think is Akeem Mesidor? Or do you look to draft a right tackle to battle it out with Terrence Steele, who's been all right at right tackle for them, but could definitely be upgraded? So, you know, I think at pick 12, the Dallas Cowboys select Jermod McCoy, cornerback, Tennessee. Now they're going to have to check his medicals and feel good about those, but that's a guy whose 2024 tape was as good as it gets. I think it was better than Delane's 25 tape, and if he's healthy at pick 12, that's a steal for them.
Do you think that his injuries and him not playing last year is going to wipe him off a lot of teams' boards?
Yeah.
Because of that?
Yeah.
Because to me, he's a second rounder.
Yeah. No, I think the talent, you're buying the talent and obviously going to be pressing your medical team, but there is cause for concern with it. I think he tore it at the beginning of 25, and then he still has stuff going on with it. So that's a problem. But when you look at what he did, you can't deny how special his 24 was. So like I said, I don't have access to his medicals. No one's telling us that stuff. It's going to be team by team what their doctors are saying. But if people feel comfortable with the medicals, I don't think you have any concerns about the talents.
Well, coming from a Raider fan, we all know how the medicals happen.
That's right.
Jeez. All right. So 13 Rams to me, and I'm going to stick with what I did last time we talked about this. And I think you still got to, there's no future quarterback here for the Rams. And I mean, how old is Stafford nowadays? What is it, like 50?
Was he 37?
Yeah, something like that. So he still has some good years left. So I think
he's
got a
year by
couple.
year right now.
Yeah.
As long as they're competitive and they can compete for Super Bowls, I think he's going to stick around. And as soon as he sees that window closing, I think he's going to be out.
And the biggest thing for me is protecting him. So I'm just going to go ahead and say it. With the 13th pick, the Rams are going to select Monroe Freeling,
Love it.
tackle from Georgia.
Yeah.
And I know you're a fan of this guy.
Yeah, I think he's got the highest ceiling of anyone in this class. He's 21 and a half. He's massive. He still needs to be more consistent. There's still plenty of times where he's off balance or his pad level's not exactly where it should be. But when you look at the athleticism and the length, and for me as an offensive line guy, like as trivial as it may sound, like I like my linemen to have big hands because it's, if you're an avid hunter, like the bigger gun you have or the bigger bullet you have, right, the more damage you're going to do with whatever it is you're hitting. And for an offensive lineman who's constantly punching, the more surface area you have with bigger hands, the bigger impact it's going to have. And this is a guy who's got 10 and 3/4 inch hands, like massive. He's got almost 35-inch arms. He ran a 4.93. Like, we're just scratching the surface of what he's going to be capable of. And the Rams have Warren McClendon at right tackle right now that has done a serviceable job. So you're not pressing him into being the starting right tackle. But when he's ready, he's going to take it, because this is a guy who's going to be capable of doing some really special things in the NFL.
And just to throw it out there, what I really like is when I look at these and I break these down and you look at his offensive snaps. I mean, he was damn near half, 50-50, damn near between run blocking and pass blocking. So NFL teams are going to have tons of film to be able to dissect from that.
Yeah.
And then you look at his numbers. I mean, he gave up 2 sacks, so he cut it down a little bit, but 0 hits, it says. Not sure how accurate these stats are, but I mean, even the hurries, they've gotten him down too. So he's improved.
Playing in the SEC.
What's that?
Playing in the SEC.
Yeah.
Like, he's facing legitimate edge rushers.
Absolutely.
And I think for the Rams, the other name that you're going to hear is going to be Mekhi Lemon. Like, he's been tied to them a lot just because Devontae Adams is going into his last year of his contract. I'm a big Mekhi Lemon fan because I think he's a dog. But he does have his athletic deficiencies. I mean, he's smaller, 5'11". He's got baby hands, like 8 3/4 inches, like the smallest hands of any receiver that we're going to talk about or that'll get drafted in the first 5 rounds. But he won the Blitnikoff, for the best receiver in the country. He's a guy who, despite his smaller stature, like, still his contested catch rate was over 70%, which is exceptional for someone that's that small. So I'm a big fan of his, but I expect it to be one of those 2 come Thursday.
Absolutely. So it's the Baltimore Ravens to you.
Well, that's easy. The Baltimore Ravens at pick 14 select Benga Ioane, guard, Penn State. Might be the best offensive lineman in this class. He is a dude.
His film, and people were showing clips of him just wrecking people.
Yeah.
And he's a massive man. And his play style, when I watched him up here, mentally reminded me a lot of JPJ from the Raiders. Like, they just want to take their head and put it through your body on every play.
Yeah.
And if they get out in space running, I mean, it's
Yeah.
over. And if
Yeah.
you're safety or corner, you better just run to the sideline.
Right. Make a business decision.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gone. I'm out. I mean, the film was just insane watching him. So that's a great pick, though. All right, so we're pick 15 to the Buccaneers. Now, like we were talking about the other day, a friend of mine, he's a huge Bucks fan, and all he ever talks about is an edge. Oh, we could have used Max Crosby. Oh, we could have got who's the guy that the guy the Baltimore Ravens signed in place of Max Crosby?
Yeah, Trey Hendrickson.
Trey Hendrickson. Yeah, like oh, we need this guy. Oh, we need that guy. And I'm like, well, you guys also need a tight end too, and now you need a wide receiver because your wide receiver went to the 49ers. Like, what are you guys doing? You guys kept your coach, which actually I was kind of shocked at myself that whole staff wasn't fired.
Yeah.
So, but I'm going to take a guy that I really like in this draft, and I'm going to take for the Bucks because if he lands there, I think they'll go edge. So with the 15th pick, it'll be Hakeem Messidor from Miami.
The old man who just plays ball.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's the most technically sound edge, if not player, in this entire class. He's just 25, but
yeah. And if you look at it, his sacks, because we looked earlier, and his sacks he had 2 less sacks than Bailey did.
Yeah.
But he was opposite of Ruben Bain.
Yeah.
And Miami had a decent interior defensive line that also got after the ball too. So or got after the quarterback. So I mean, having 13 sacks on that defensive line is pretty damn good.
What stands out to me is 827 snaps. You talk about guys on defense rotating. Him and Bain didn't rotate.
No.
They might be the only DNs in the country who never came off the field. And when you look at Messidor's grades, you're talking a 92.5 pass rush grade and then 88.3 run defense grade. Like, there's no holes in his game.
Yeah. That reminds me, the snap count and everything else just screams Max Crosby type. Like if he was to fall in the second round, which ain't happening, but I was praying the whole college football year that it would, that they would get him in the second round. I mean, pairing him opposite of Max Crosby would have been pretty fun to watch. There's two dudes arguing never to come off the field.
All right, I'm back on the clock with the Jets. I mean, I think this pick has to be a receiver. They have Garrett Wilson and not a lot else. So whether it's Geno this year or whoever they draft next year, I think they need to address that. So this is going to come down to what type of receiver do they want. You have a smaller guy, like I said, like Mekhi Lemon. You have Jordan Tyson, who has the upside to maybe be the best receiver in this class, but he's been injured in some variety every year. And then you have Omar Cooper Jr., who I think is really rising. I'm going to take Jordan Tyson here. I know that he's been banged up, but I think his most recent injury was a hamstring, which it sounds like he'll be back for training camp. I think his health is something you're going to monitor. A hamstring the year before was a collarbone. Like, the year before was his ACL. Like, I don't know how much of it's injury prone versus just really unlucky. So I'm hoping that he's going to be able to stay healthy, and you have a 1B next to Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, and that'll be great for Arch Manning coming in the following year.
That's right.
So, Gino, get us that pick, baby. Let's go, Jets.
There you go.
All right. So with the 17th pick, and I'm going to stick to what I had last time and planned out, and we're going to continue to protect the quarterback, and we're going to bring in Fano from Utah at tackle for the Lions. What's that?
I like that.
Yeah.
So, and I think Fano's going to give you some flexibility as well. I mean, there's teams that think he could play center.
I mean, he came in that first year and played.
Yeah.
Or in 2023, he played left tackle before making the switch over to right.
Yeah, so. And then Caleb Lomu, but you feel good about Penei Sewell moving over to the left side like Tristan Wirfs did in Tampa.
Yeah, so exactly.
Pick 18, the Vikings. They just lost someone who's going to go into their Ring of Honor in Harrison Smith. It sounds like he's not going to be back. But what he meant to that defense for Brian Flores, I don't think can be understated. So I think you need to replace that. So I'm going to do that here at pick 18, and I'm going to take Dylan Thieneman from Oregon, who's, I think, a really underrated player. This is a guy who lines up all over the field. He can play in the box. He can play single high. He can run. And he's incredibly smart. I think he's going to fit well into that Flores defense.
Yeah, and him coming down, like you said, and playing into the box. I mean, it looks like he took more snaps in the box than he did deep.
Yeah, but then look at the years before that when he was at Purdue. So,
yeah, it's good stuff. I like him a lot. Now, so for the Panthers, I had a wide receiver going here, but the way the draft fell for us today, and I originally had this guy going to the Buccaneers, but the way that Akeem Mesidor fell to the Buccaneers, it was just something that they couldn't pass up. But at the same time, now at pick 19, the Carolina Panthers, I'm going to have them getting the Oregon tight end.
Love it.
Because I think their quarterback just needs another weapon to throw to right now. And, their defense is still pretty solid. But I think in order for him to succeed, he needs some more weapons to throw to. And why not get the best tight end in this draft? Some say this is ridiculous to me because I saw a graphic and I posted this and I was like, this is insane. But they had him as ranked as, I believe he was the 10th going into this next season. He was the 10th tight end in all of football. But what stood out is where they had Brock Bowers. And I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe they had him at like 7 or 8.
Brock
and I'm like,
Bowers
who made this?
Outside of the top 3 is insane.
Yeah. And I was like, who made this list? And I was like, he's going to be crazy good this year, just with the difference in quarterback play and offense and everything else. So, but I like this pick here for the Panthers, and tight ends are something that the Panthers are known for. And this guy is just an insane weapon for them.
Yeah. I mean, you put him with Teteroa and McMillan, like that's 2 massive human beings to throw stuff up to. And Sadiq, even though he's a tight end, like you look at the way he's tested, I mean, he's 6'3", 240. He ran a 4.39 with a 43.5-inch vertical. Split him out, he becomes your receiver too. You feel good about that in Carolina. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
All right, so we are back up with the Cowboys. Not sure how I feel about this at all. We took Jermon McCoy at 12.
Well, like you said earlier, you think that they're going to end up trading up with these two picks.
Yeah, I do. I'm going to stick with what we talked about the other day. It's probably a little rich for this spot, but I think that they do need to improve their second level with their linebackers. And you look at guys who have had success there, and unfortunately have had careers shortened with injuries and whatnot. But you're looking at instinctive, smart guys who play well in coverage as well, whether it be Jalen Smith or Van Der Esch or what have you. So I'm taking the guy who I think is, after Sonny Styles, the best linebacker in this class, and that's Jacob Rodriguez out of Texas Tech. He's a little older, but I don't care. He ran 4.57. You're looking at a guy who had a coverage grade of 92 and a rush defense grade of 94.8. There's not a lot of holes to his game. And see, like, even that, his lacks physical tools. I mean, sure, you can say what you want, but he ran 4.57. Like, that ain't bad. And instincts make up for that straight line speed as well.
And to me, he's not that old. I mean, he's not Akeem Messidor old. So, I mean, the dude's got a mustache.
Right.
He's got probably the best looking mustache in all of college football. And it'd probably be the NFL.
And I mean, you have to think too, like, this is a kid who played at Texas Tech. He probably grew up a Cowboys fan. Like, those types of kids belong in Dallas and Jerry's world. It just means more to them.
Yeah.
And I mean, his wife is like a Black Hawk helicopter pilot. Like, he's got to figure it out. You're not going to have to worry about any trouble. He's a guy who can help be a leader and tighten up that defense a little bit more even.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, there's two guys that I really wanted in later rounds in the draft, but I think aura alone has propelled them. I mean, yeah, I mean, in their mock or their combine numbers or their pro day numbers or whatever, what have you, and have really propelled them as time has gone on. And Jacob Rodriguez is one. And the other one is I don't want to get his name wrong because I always get his name wrong.
You're talking about Jennings Dunker?
Jennings Dunker, baby. The man's hair that is just legendary. And for me, you put him on my team, the Raiders, with those group of characters. I mean, it would be insane, but I was really hoping Rodriguez would fall too, but we ended up going out and getting some linebacking dudes, so I'm happy about that. All right, so we're to the Steelers at 21, and with Aaron Rodgers not knowing what's going on, or with Steeler fans not knowing what's going on with the whole Rodgers situation. I mean,
I still don't think they do it.
You still don't think they do it, huh?
No.
I
don't.
Well, I'm doing it.
All right.
I think they do. I think you get to a certain point where you're like, man, Mike Tomlin's not there. They got new coaching staff. I think you have to, as much as we wouldn't do it, or maybe you don't think they would do it.
No.
I think Ty Simpson is a second-round talent at best. I mean, people talk about him all the time, but There's a lot of good dudes in this draft above him. And it's like, do you think, let me ask you this. Let's put it this way. Do you think this week they will find out whether or not Rodgers comes back before the draft? Or do you think he's going to?
I think you have to. I think you have to give them that ultimatum of, look, we need to know because it's going to affect how we're drafting.
Mhm.
Or they're going to have to pull off some kind of trade, like with the Rams, like they didn't re-sign Jimmy G. So
Yeah.
who's their backup? I've heard a lot of games they talked to Kirk Cousins. I've heard Anthony Richardson. I read today they like what Drew Aller could potentially become. But these teams need to know what their situation looks like so they can plan accordingly. And if it's not in the draft, maybe they're going out and they're offering that pick to San Francisco for Mac Jones. I think I just don't know how you can draft Ty Simpson and think, okay, we have our franchise quarterback. This is going to be the guy that's going to elevate us. Granted, he was banged up at the end of the year and looked solid at the beginning of the year, but he's playing in a Kalen DeBoer offense where you look at what Penix did when Washington went to the national title game, and then you look at what he did. Like, to me, I don't think he's a franchise quarterback that you build around. Maybe they view him different. We're not in the interviews. We don't know what conversations are happening, but you need to get an answer from A-Rod so you can plan accordingly. But if it's me, I'm calling San Francisco going, hey, we have pick 21. We'll give it to you for Mac. Does that work for you? And if they say no,
Yeah.
okay, what else do you need? Because I'd feel a lot better about that than I would Ty.
Here's a scenario for you. Camp comes around. Mendoza just looks world class, let's say. And you're like, you know what? We're going to start him now.
You're still going to hold on to Kirk.
You think so?
You're still going to keep him in as the mentor and that guy that he can turn to. Just
Yeah.
like when the Chiefs took Mahomes and had Alex Smith, like Mahomes talks about how invaluable Alex was to him as he learned how to be an NFL player. And I think for Tom Brady, who went through a similar situation with Drew Bledsoe, I think they see the value in that. And with Kirk, whether he's playing or not, I think they see the value in him being on that roster. And that's more valuable getting Mendoza developed than it is to get a 4th round pick or 5th round pick for him.
And I agree. And he's already said that coming in the interviews. He knows his role, whether it's being the starter day one, being the starter for the first couple games. He knows that his job is to get Mendoza basically ready for this.
Yeah.
So he's fine with it. And the Raiders are paying like nothing for him either, because the Falcons are paying most of his contract.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
It was a terrible contract when they gave it to him in the first place.
Yeah. So with the 21st pick in the NFL draft, the Steelers. There you have it.
Wow.
Yes, sir. We're gonna sure up that line because, or help sure up that line because we mentioned so many things, and there's some things that we didn't even talk about. Like, what about a guy like Joe Flacco?
Yeah.
Who's with Cincinnati still, right? That would be. I think he's still with Cincinnati. I have to double check on that one, but
yeah, he is.
Yeah. How wild would it be for Joe Flacco to end up just going there for a year and playing? And he's gone from the Browns to the Bengals to the Steelers.
Yeah.
And he started with the Ravens.
Yeah.
So
knows the division.
No, so he would just be every team in the division would be wild.
Yeah.
So, and I really like Emmanuel from Oregon. How do you say his last name? Because I can never say that one either.
Pregnon.
I'm
Yeah,
bad with these
Emmanuel
names.
Pregnon. He started
Yeah.
at Wyoming, and then went to USC and then ended up at Oregon. But he is another massive human being who is a people mover. He's an old guy too, but the coaches that I know that have been around him have said like he's a rare breed.
Yeah, and I just think it kind of fits. I mean, I don't know what the Steelers are really going to be like because there's a couple of teams out of the 12, I think it was 12 coaching changes this year. Steelers were one of the ones that was kind of a head scratcher to me. I
Yeah.
thought they were going to go younger. Try to go after one of the newer young age play callers from some team, out there that was good, up and coming, but they didn't. They went with an older guy that I don't know if that's because that's a Steeler thing or what, but was it Mike Tomlin when he was hired? He was a new up and coming coach, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So I don't see this panning out as great as Steeler fans think.
We're gonna find out.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right. So we got the Chargers. I mean, I love where this board sits for them. Mekhi Lemon makes a lot of sense. He's in LA already. And you have McConkey and Quinston Johnson, who I think is on the last year of his deal. They drafted Trey Harris last year out of Ole Miss, but I think he upgrades that room. Safety is a need. I really like Emmanuel McNeil Warren, but I think for me, when you have someone like Harbaugh at the helm, he's going to get the best out of guys. So I'm willing to risk it for the potential here, and I'm going to take Keldrick Falk, the edge out of Auburn. You're looking at a kid here who has a lot of tools. I mean, he's not even 21 yet, but he's almost 6'6". He's 280 pounds. He's a really good run defender right now, which in their 3-4, I think that makes a lot of sense. And they're going to have some flexibility with him. They go forefront. He can still do it, but he's big enough, strong enough, talented enough to play in that 3-4. The production didn't match the talent, but if anyone can get that out of him, I think it's going to be Harbaugh.
Yeah, and I don't know. You can correct me on this or just pinpoint this, but I wasn't aware of him for the longest time being a first round pick. Did he just move up, just climb up the draft boards in the last couple of months?
Yeah, just because the tools are so impressive. He's a kid who was highly regarded coming out of high school. I think he was a borderline 5-star kid who chose Auburn over Florida State. But I think he's climbed because people have seen flashes of what he can be because the production hasn't been great. When you look at his numbers, there's nothing that's going to pop off the page and make you think this gets a first round pick. But the way he moves, the way that he can disengage blocks, you see the flashes where you go, okay, this might be something. And then you take 6'6", 280 as an edge with his length and go, okay, if we can coach it up, it could be pretty special. And that's what you're betting on.
So before we continue, because this is, I don't know how many more guys we're gonna have to talk about this, but we've mentioned this a few times about a lot of these guys, about having to coach them up, about having to really figure out who they are when they get to the NFL level. And obviously, every player is kind of like that. But when you're talking about first round talent, we all as fans want somebody that's proven, ready to come in and put up 10 to 15 sacks first year.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't always work like that.
No, I mean, if you have a guy who
So,
has talent and the production, they're not available at 22.
yeah.
Like those guys are rare breeds, and even when you look at the other edges that we've already picked, Hakeem Messidor is a great example. I mean, he's obviously talented. He's a first round pick in the NFL, but he's not someone where you're like, man, that guy's a freak, and
Mm-hmm.
terms like that get so oversaturated when you're talking about the draft because you're so accustomed to the mutants and the aliens and the freaks and all these different things, and they're not a dime a dozen. When you're looking at the top of this, you can say that about an Arvell Reese or a David Bailey or a Sonny Styles, but not many guys after that. So you kind of got to pick your poison when it comes to a balance of talent versus production, because as we go down the draft order, you have to decide how you're going to weigh that out. Do we want guys who are more productive but have some type of flaw in their measurements or their speed or their age or what have you? Or do we take guys who check every box from a measurement, age, potential standpoint, but haven't been as productive? Because it just comes down to the classic case of, do we take the high floor or the high ceiling with a low floor? Are we willing to risk the bust to get that all pro, or do we want a guy who's just going to be a really solid pro that we don't know if he's going to pan out, but if he does, it's going to be special? And every organization has a different viewpoint on that. I think when you look at your Raiders, like that's why they took a guy like Cleveland Farrell. You're thinking, okay,
Yeah.
like this is a safe pick. Whereas when they took the edge out of Texas Tech, it was okay. We're banking on the potential, the upside, and then it doesn't work out. So depending on how many picks you have, what your roster looks like, if you're expecting to be immediate contributors, if you're in contention to win the Super Bowl, like all those things, I'm sure weigh into it for the GMs. But at some point, you just kind of have a metric for it, and every team's going to be different. So I think for me personally, like I'm a big measurements guy. I want people to check certain boxes to feel confident, because as a coach, like I believe that you can get the most out of a player, but you have to know what makes them click. You got to know what their individual makeups are. How badly do they want it, and that's why they talk about football guys and guys who live, eat, sleep, breathe this stuff, because it's a big investment, and it's a use of capital that is hard to come by. So
All right. So now we're on to pick number 23, the Eagles. And I have them selecting Cooper from Indiana. And I really like this here. Another weapon for Jalen Hurts to sling the rock to. You can kind of go in many different directions here. And to be honest with you, I don't understand the whole them needing an edge or a safety here, when it seemed like when they played in the Super Bowl, they had a million different defensive linemen coming onto the field and wreaking havoc all over Patrick Mahomes. So, and I'm not exactly sure on this one who did they lose somebody at safety?
yeah, they lost Reed Blankenship, one of their exciting whites, to Houston.
That's right. I completely forgot about that one. You know, some of the guys in free agency I missed, but even so, I mean, Emmanuel Warren would have been Emmanuel McNeil Warren would have been good here too. But I
Yeah.
think Cooper is a guy that I really like. I don't like the Eagles per se, but I think it really fits what they want to do over there.
So why did you go Cooper over Lemon?
I think for me, it just comes back down to the size. I'm not a fan of guys that don't have the size. I mean, to me, let's see, what was the difference? The biggest difference in size. I mean, yeah, an inch, 204 versus, I mean, 9 pound difference, basically, according to this. 21 years of, so I mean, a year older, but I just liked what Cooper does on the football field. I liked watching Indiana play. I liked him with Mendoza. I would love for him to drop to 36 or to drop into the top of the second round, and the Raiders just make that jump and say, we're pairing you with your quarterback from college. Almost like the Bengals did with Joe Burrow and Chase, you know, kind of a similar situation. What was it, a year difference or something like that? But Mendoza's got 2 wide receivers in this draft. You got Cooper and you got Surratt in this draft.
Yeah.
So personally, I'm not a huge Lemon fan like a lot of Raider fans are, because a lot of Raider fans are also USC fans. I get it. I'm not. I'm not against them, and I'm not particularly against him either. I am just more of a Cooper fan over him and that's why I took him to the Eagles at 23.
The Raiders can always take Charlie Becker next year.
Exactly. That's the guy. That's the guy with the other day we were talking about that I really like too.
All right. Well, that makes it easy for me here at 24. The Browns on the clock. We took Caden Proctor at 6. I'm taking Mekhi Lemon. I think he does so much so well. He's a guy you can move around. A lot of people have made the Amon-Ra St. Brown comp. I think Jarvis Landry is probably a little more accurate, but either way, you have a guy who is going to be tough. He's going to do the dirty work. You can put him outside. You can put him inside. He's just a football player. So I think as they move into this new Ravens offense, I think he's a guy who can do a lot of the stuff that they did with Zay Flowers last year. So I think he fits really well, and he gives a really prominent weapon to Shedeur or whoever ends up playing quarterback there for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I like that. With the 25th pick, the Bears, and I saw something ridiculous today, and I'm not even going to mention who said it, but they said that the Bears should trade the 25th pick straight up for Max Crosby.
Sounds good. Get it done.
You're crazy. I wouldn't. I can't say I wouldn't give up the second pick for Max Crosby, but it's got to be more than that. Definitely more than that. 25 is way too low. So, anyway, with the Bears picking at 25, I have them taking the safety, Emmanuel McNeil Warren out of Toledo.
I think Bears are probably the first spot where you start talking about Zion Young, the edge out of Missouri. I think he fits well there. And I think he's a guy who could end up in this range. But yeah, I think EMW is probably too good to pass up. So
I mean,
we know Toledo DBs know how to play.
I mean, his height, weight, age, a lot of twos there. But I mean, his ability, his grades for the last 3 years, I mean, to me, I love it.
And he'll knock someone out. He's going to fit what the Bears want their defense to be.
Yeah, he played a lot more box last year. Can show he can still got some range. So yeah, he's coming in there and he's hitting somebody.
All right, so we are on to Buffalo. So I think Bills, it seems like they might have whiffed on Keon Coleman, which surprises me. They're still looking for that elusive title for Josh Allen. So I think receiver is definitely in play here. I think edge is always something that they're going to look at. But I think, you could go corner. Avion Terrell has not had a great offseason or draft prep season. They got DJ Moore, so that certainly helps the receiver room with Josh Palmer and Shakur. I'm going to go Casey Concepcion. I think he's the next best receiver in this class, but they need to continue to put things around Josh Allen if they're chasing the Super Bowl.
So the Buffalo Bills, and I agree with everything you said here. And I'm very surprised at the Coleman not making an impact over there, or, them basically him being a bust there. If that's what he turns out to be.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you this right now, as a fan of the Raiders who haven't seen the playoffs or seen winning culture in forever, you have got to be whoever the leadership is in Buffalo has got to be some of the dumbest people. And I'm going to say it very bluntly, has to be some of the dumbest people in the NFL, because you make it to the division round and you fire your head coach.
Yeah,
and you have how many teams out there, like the Raiders, the Jets, the Browns, that constantly don't win playoff games or don't constantly are in the gutter, basically, so to speak. And you think you're going to do better by hiring the offensive coach?
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
After you just went to the division, it boggles my mind there. But
yeah.
And the only reason, my father was a huge Buffalo Bills fan growing up, so I knew guys like Thurman Thomas. I grew up with like Bruce Smith, Jim Kelly, all those type of guys. Watching those dudes play for the Bills and them losing all those Super Bowls back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, man, I've always, if I'm not rooting for the Raiders and the Buffalo Bills are in the playoffs, especially when they were going against the Chiefs and some of those teams like that, I would always root for the Buffalo Bills, and I just don't understand it. But who knows? We'll see what happens this year. All right, so I got the 49ers. Let's see who I got last time. Oh, you took Falk, and I had Falk at the 49ers last time.
I love this spot for Caleb Lomu, the left tackle out of Utah. I think he still needs some seasoning, but they have Trent Williams who's getting up there. I think that would be a really good spot for him to learn. And I think the other edges come into play here. I think this is where you start looking at someone like a Malachi Lawrence from UCF. I think he makes a lot of sense, or TJ Parker from Clemson, or even a Zion Young. But for me, I think when you have quarterbacks like Brock Purdy and Mac Jones who can't move for anything, keeping them upright is important. And who knows how long Trent has left. But I like the upside of Lomu.
Yeah, and I mean the 49ers, they have some needs that really fall into place here, but I keep going back to Max here. And I really like Max here to the 49ers. He's a big dude. Yeah, right tackle. So with the 27th pick to the 49ers, I'm taking Max. And you can pronounce his last name. It's one of those dudes, man. I tell you,
Yeah,
this draft is going to be crazy. I'll learn them all on draft day, though.
that's right. All right, Houston's we're gonna have to go offensive line here because they trade away everyone who's any good. So Blake Miller, Caleb Lomu, or the guards. I think you start seeing Keelan Rutledge here, maybe Chase Basantis. Um, but like I just told you with San Francisco, I love the upside of Caleb Lomu. So that's who I'm taking for Houston.
I don't like this pick one bit. I did a graphic, I think it was about a month ago, and I had that guy going to the Raiders in the second round. And I'm like, they need a tackle.
Yeah.
And I mean, they've cycled through dudes at right tackle, and it's like they don't have like that guy yet. They haven't been able to find that dude yet.
But this is what teams are worried about. Like you're getting this run of tackles here at the ends.
Yeah.
You know, if Miller's gone, there won't be one at 36.
Yeah. It's crazy. And that's fine. I mean, that means you got wide receiver, you've got a defensive guy, you've got somebody else that's going to fall.
Oh, yeah.
That we're not thinking of, or we are going to think of when this draft is over. All right. So I got the Chiefs.
Your Kansas City Chiefs.
Again, dude, don't even say that. Yeah, I went. So we went corner last time with Mansour. So again, it's going to come down to wide receiver,
edge, or corner.
DB. We already took the DB. They're getting older there, and I'd hate to say it, this guy's been on some visits with the Raiders already. I could see them going Zion Young.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And Missouri kid.
But a guy that I hope doesn't land there, but I think will end up going to the Chiefs because they need a weapon, is Boston. It's Denzel Boston. That's going to give, with Travis Kelce constantly worrying about the next Taylor Swift concert, what he's doing after the show, what he's got to wear for that. He's getting up there in age. This dude's a big dude, and his numbers speak for themselves. And I think it would be great for Patrick Mahomes to have a dude like this.
Yeah, he's made the most with the least, but it would be nice to give him some more.
Yeah, I hate it, but if I was a Chiefs fan, I would love it. I mean, you just got a corner and a wide receiver,
right?
Two positions of need.
So who did we have the Dolphins taking at 11?
And I had the Dolphins last time too. Ruben Bain.
Okay. Denzel Boston would have been real nice right here.
Yeah, I mean your boy CJ Allen's right there, staring him at the face.
We're gonna let him keep staring. Who's the next receiver? Go to the receiver filter. I like Chris Bell, but he just tore his ACL. So then you're getting into Bernard. I really like Skylar Bell.
I think when you get down here to Surratt and Branch, Burks, even Fields, See, I love CJ Daniels. You know, that one-handed against Notre Dame, baby. You remember that one? That was my
No,
man, CJ Daniels. I mean, this one's crazy. Jacoby Lane, 136.
yeah, I love Jacoby Lane.
Did you watch his mock or his combine? Holy cow, talk about smooth.
I love Ted Hurst, but yeah, we're not taking a receiver here. So we're gonna. I'm gonna take Keelan Rutledge, guard, Georgia Tech.
Oh man, do I have to search for that? Guard. Rutledge. Oh, I like Rutledge. Hey, let me ask you something. Did he play somewhere else?
I don't know.
Or am I mistaken? Because that name, like Georgia, Bama. Or was there another Rutledge? There might have been another Rutledge. I could have swore there was a Rutledge from one of those other schools. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. I don't know if there was or not.
Yeah, I think the other direction they can go here. I mean, like I said, they need everything. Corner would have made a lot of sense. Someone like a Colton Hood. I don't think Terrell is going to go in the first anymore. Oh, shoot, they might just say we're going to double up, but we're going to take two edges because we could use them. Go get a Zion Young to put with Ruben Bain.
No, he transferred in from Middle Tennessee State.
The old Middle Tennessee State to Georgia Tech move, huh?
Yeah. But I could have swore there was a. I'll have to look it up. It'll drive me nuts, but I'll look it up later. But I could have swore there's already an NFL guy named with the last name Rutledge. I can't remember. But anyway, so I originally had. Let me go back and look real quick. I had Max going here to the Patriots to help shore up that offensive line. Got to protect your quarterback, and Drake May is looking like he is, obviously the future face, one of the young future faces of the NFL. I really like Drake May. I always have. Unfortunately, the year he was drafted, the Raiders won too many damn games, and we ended up falling in the draft, so we couldn't get a quarterback. So I'm not a huge fan of Clemson guys this year. I don't know what it is. People have them a lot higher than I have them. And, I like Clemson a lot. It's weird because I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan, but I'm also a huge Clemson fan as well. I got my Clemson hat too. But you can't go wrong with defensive line, with their head coach over there being a defensive guy. It's just going to come down to who they like because some of these guys are injured.
Zion.
You got a lot of Clemson guys. I mean, look at we got still left on the board. You've got two guys here. You got two guys there. I mean, you got Hood still here at corner, Miller, Lee Hunter, Zion. But yeah, I don't know if we're going to agree on this, but I'm going to go with Zion Young here at pick 31 to the Patriots.
Love it.
I don't think you could pass up on that. I mean, Patriot fans will love that. I think he's got it. I mean, he's senior, 22 years old. I mean,
yeah.
So he's like right at that, that peak or whatever you want to say.
He's had a good draft prep season. Like he did well in the Senior Bowl games. He's a guy on the rise. It wouldn't shock me at all to see him in the first round. Last pick of the draft, round 1. So
the Super Bowl champions.
Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. You ready for this? So when you look at what they've lost a lot. They lost a lot in the secondary, and they've lost a lot on offense. So we got to replace that. So with the 32nd pick, the last pick of the first round of the 2026 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select the other Notre Dame running back, Jadarian Price.
Ooh.
Look, they lose Kenneth Walker to the Chiefs. They have Zach Charbonnet, who's recovering from an ACL. Price is an elite back. He just was sharing a backfield with Jeremiah Love, but the fact that he even shared the backfield tells you how talented that kid is. And there we have it.
There it is. I mean, that's pretty solid right there. I think I do like that pick. Price going into 32. 2 running backs in the first round. You know, that's
2 running backs, 1 quarterback.
Yeah. Who would have thought?
I mean, I think the biggest takeaway for me is the run on receivers at the end. Like you don't see Mekhi Lemon available at 24 very often. But there's a lot of tackles that went off the board. You know, when you look at it, we had 6 of them, 7 of them, you know, and then we had 2 guards, so 3 guards, which I like those fits. You know, but we have 10 offensive linemen going in the first round. But that makes day 2 interesting because I think a lot of people are hoping a Hinicher or a Lomu or a Rutledge is going to be available at the top of the second round. So I think it makes it pretty interesting, you know, and then we have guys like CJ Allen, the linebacker out of Georgia, who's still available, Ty Simpson, the quarterback out of Alabama, Lee Hunter, the nose tackle out of Texas Tech. And then you have some guys with, you know, injuries, deficiencies. Cassius Howell was talked about as a first-round pick for a long time, but had just historically short arms, even though he was the SEC Defensive Player of the Year. So a lot of good players available, but I think with us not doing trades, I do think you'll see someone like in Arizona trade back in to the end of the first with someone like the Chiefs to try to get Simpson to get that 5th-year option. I do think there will be a pretty significant amount of movement from teams because we don't have as many of the franchise freak shows that we're used to, right? So I think a lot of it comes down to personal preference, and teams are going to want to move, and I don't think prices are going to be as high to move because there's not that many guys where you're going, okay, like we got to stick, or we know who they're coming up for and we know what he's worth. So I do think it's going to be a really exciting Thursday night with a lot of movement.
Yeah, and we're going to have a follow-up show, so make sure you guys follow us for the next show after that, after the draft, do a recap on who we think the best first-round picks were, talk about some of the trades, and then we'll also dive into some of our later round picks and talk about who we really liked. And you know, obviously I'm going to talk about some of the Raiders picks, and you talk about some of your trench guys, the trench mafia guys, and who you liked, and we'll go over some of that stuff too as well. But thanks, Dan, for coming in, bringing Trench Mafia to this. And everybody make sure you get over and follow us on X. As you can see where our faces are, you'll see our tags. I'm at E5 Nasty, and then Coach Dan is at Coach Meyer O-Line. Make sure you follow Trench Mafia. I'm Clueless Sports Dad. Thanks for coming in.